Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly pumped to have you here because we are looking at a truly massive paradigm shift in global technology today. We're diving into a brilliant piece from Tech Reader magazine titled Why Montenegro Chose a Turnkey AI System. And it covers this infrastructural awakening that is just quietly rewiring the entire globe. It's absolutely fascinating how a nation with such a small geographic footprint has arrived at a realization that is just so massive in scale. Basically, they realized that artificial intelligence, it's no longer just a cool piece of software or some handy app on your phone. AI is critical physical infrastructure. It's literally becoming the ultimate utility. And how Montenegro chose to handle that realization provides a literal roadmap for the rest of the world. So let's dive right in.
All right, let's kick things off with part one, the Montenegro meeting. To really understand how this all happened, picture this. You're in a closed-door government conference room. Frosted glass, the hum of an air conditioner just struggling against the summer heat. A group of government ministers are flipping through briefing folders for the Digital Modernization Initiative, and the Minister of Interior leans forward and makes this uncompromising demand. He says, not a chatbot, not a cloud service, a system that sits here, in our country, under our laws, integrated with the infrastructure we already run. I mean, wow. This wasn't just some casual brainstorming session about tech upgrades. The stakes in this room were monumentally high. They were literally discussing the continuity of their statehood. They needed a system with absolute, uncompromising sovereignty. And the Minister of Infrastructure pointed out this really fascinating reclassification. Think about it. Montenegro already has its own telecom networks, its own water systems, and its own power grid, right? These are the physical utilities that keep a country alive and breathing. Well, now, artificial intelligence joins that exact same list. As things like emergency response systems, traffic grids, and hospital triage increasingly rely on AI to even function, AI basically becomes the logic layer for all other infrastructure. If your water and power are vital, well, the AI running them is equally vital. It literally must be treated exactly like a physical utility. Which brings us to Section 2, the sovereignty problem. So this brings up a core dilemma facing nations everywhere right now, the structural risks of the current AI boom. If a country relies on a foreign AI provider, say an API hosted thousands of miles away, they are structurally vulnerable. I mean, what happens if there's a major service outage? Or what if a foreign government suddenly imposes strict export controls on AI technology? Or honestly, what if a tech CEO just decides to change corporate policy overnight? If your hospital triage or your power grid relies on that foreign server, your country's nervous system is totally at the mercy of a foreign jurisdiction. You simply can't outsource the nervous system of your country and expect to remain entirely secure. It just doesn't work. And the crucial point here really boils down to this. This is not about distrust. It is about jurisdiction. Montenegro's realization wasn't rooted in paranoia or some anti-foreign ideology. Not at all. It was driven purely by pragmatism. If AI runs the systems that protect citizens, then the AI absolutely must be governed by the laws of those citizens. It's basically an architectural requirement for state survival in the 21st century. Moving right along to Section 3, the turnkey solution. Now, you might be wondering, well, if they want it domestic, why not just build their own AI from scratch? And it's a fair question. Montenegro is a very ambitious nation, but they understand the limits of scale. Building a frontier-class AI model is structurally impossible for most nations. Get this, the compute energy required rivals the power consumption of entire small cities. In fact, training just a single large language model can emit as much carbon as hundreds of transatlantic flights. It's wild. Add to that a highly constrained, globally competitive talent pool measured in only thousands of specialists, plus complex supply chains that span multiple continents. Yeah, building it from the ground up simply wasn't an option. So what's the workaround? Enter the turnkey AI system. Montenegro actually partnered with a UAE-backed integrator called Presight to deploy exactly this. Instead of building a massive science project themselves, they hired an integrator to install a finished, sovereign-grade digital structure right onto their own soil. It's essentially a complete, ready-to-operate platform that just plugs directly into their existing physical infrastructure, like buying a fully furnished house instead of laying the bricks yourself.
And the absolute genius of this approach lies in what they call the architecture of sovereignty. Montenegro realized they could import the intelligence and the software, all those incredibly complex algorithms developed abroad, but crucially, they keep the physical hardware, the data centers, the legal jurisdiction, and ultimate authority over the off switch entirely domestic. They don't actually need to own the intellectual property of the AI model. They just need absolute physical control over the infrastructure that runs it. Pretty smart, right? Let's look at Section 4, the global API fracture. What's crazy is that this localized solution in Montenegro is actually part of a massive global trend. For years, we've lived in the old era. That was a unified, borderless internet largely powered by a handful of Silicon Valley APIs floating in this decentralized cloud-based architecture. But guys, that era is quietly fracturing. We are rapidly moving into the new era. Nations are now designing for resilience, not alignment. We're seeing the formation of regional AI blocks, a massive, massive boom in domestic data centers, and an unyielding demand for sovereign physical control. They are building AI the exact same way they build power grids, with built-in redundancy and strict local oversight. And all of this leads to a fascinating new geopolitical landscape, the non-aligned compute world. Remember during the Cold War how many nations refused to align with a single superpower? Well, today, we are seeing a very similar non-aligned movement, but it's entirely centered around computing power rather than political ideology. It's so interesting. Countries want balance. They want American security protocols, sure, but they also want European privacy standards. They are utilizing Gulf-funded infrastructure and integrators, and above all, they demand local jurisdictional control. They are literally mixing and matching to maintain optionality and avoid becoming totally dependent on any single distant provider. So, seeing all of this play out, we really have to ask ourselves, is Montenegro just an outlier? Are they just some quirky exception in the grand scheme of global tech? Which brings us to our final section, the next 24 months. Spoiler alert, the answer is a resounding no. If you want to know what the next 2 years look like, just look at how AI procurement is going to perfectly mirror traditional civil engineering. Seriously, it's playing out in steps. Step 1. We are going to see a massive acceleration in the construction of domestic data centers all around the world. Step 2. Nations will deploy turnkey AI systems with the exact same regularity and bureaucratic process as building standard power plants or water treatment facilities. And Step 3. Government contracts will start strictly including procurement clauses for failovers, local jurisdiction, and wartime continuity. AI is officially no longer a product you subscribe to, it is an engineering project you build and secure. And that brings us to an incredibly powerful final thought. A nation that controls its AI controls its future. A nation that does not is simply renting it. That is exactly what Montenegro understood, and it's what makes them the blueprint for this entirely new digital era. Sovereignty in the age of AI isn't about ideology anymore. It's about engineering. The countries that realize this are already out there pouring concrete and laying fiber. The ones that don't, well, they'll wake up entirely dependent on a nervous system they don't even control. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I want to leave you with this one question. As this global fracture accelerates, will your country be the one owning its digital nervous system, or will it be stuck paying the rent?